Shaping Entrepreneurs with Impreneurs. A very warm welcome and hello to our dear listeners. It's your host, Gauri, and we are pleased to debut the first edition of our podcast today. Our society, Impreneurs, the entrepreneurship cell of Janki Devi Memorial College, has been inspiring students to pursue their entrepreneurial dreams since 2017. Through experiential learning, it nurtures young innovators by providing knowledge, exposure, and hands on experience. We also equip aspiring entrepreneurs with the skills needed to thrive in the business world. It also offers a platform to learn from successful industry leaders. Through many of our initiatives, we have brought this one today, and we will be talking to an exciting persona whose passion for food technology and entrepreneurship led her to the grand stage of Shark Tank India. It's time to throw some sprinkles on the cake. Let me give you a hint. She's an innovator, food technologist, and a serial optimist. Joining us today is Chef Gauri Varma, founder of G Patisserie and Confect, India's only chef-run and managed food technology startup specializing in bakery ingredients. With a background in business management from IIM Bangalore and the University of Oxford Saïd Business School, Chef Gauri has combined her passion for baking with cutting-edge innovation to revolutionize the confectionery industry. In our conversation today, we will be diving into her baking journey as a first-generation entrepreneur and learn from all the fondants and premixes she has to share. Welcome, Ms. Gauri Varma. It's amazing to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be at your college, and what an amazing college, and I'm so excited to be sitting with my namesakes. I think that makes it really special as well. And you have an amazing space here, and I hope to be able to inspire somebody at your college with my story.
Absolutely, ma'am. We are also excited to have you with us here. And before we move on to our series of questions, I would like to ask you, in entrepreneurial terms, please let us know how happy you are to be here in a podcast with us.
I'm, I would say that I'm peaking, and the mood is fabulous, and I think it's going to be a great return on investment with a low ACOS.
I am a humanities student, but it certainly intrigues me, the aura and the vibe you bring to the stage here. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So let's move on to the questions we have in store for you. So most of us have already seen you on Shark Tank India, such a great platform, and we know your forte. So I would like to ask you how this idea evolved and what made you pursue this very field.
I always knew that I wanted to do something different, but I didn't know what. I knew that I had what it takes to follow my dream, but the path was not laid out. I took a leap of faith after the disastrous wedding cake that I got, and that propelled me into where I am today. I didn't know that if someone told me 10 years ago that I would have been on Shark Tank, I would be running one of the most successful brands in India for confectionery, I would say, you're crazy. But I think when you decide to take a bet on yourself and you actually just take that leap of faith, things just pan out, and it's amazing how life works out in the end. All it takes, and the only thing that is consistent is me. So I took a chance. I walked down one path, and then it opened up more paths for me, and look where we are today. So
absolutely, ma'am. I love the individualism you explore, and your confidence is the best thing about you, alongside your beauty, of course.
Thank you.
So, we know it's not easy to be a trendsetter. You shared that your parents wanted to marry you off, but you took on new activities to decide your destiny, and as you shared, having faith in oneself.
Yeah.
And our surroundings tend to influence us more than we think. So how did your background or upbringing shape the way you approach the challenges you faced?
That's a really good question, actually. You have to understand that being an 80s kid, it was a different time. It was a different generation. The thinking was very different, and so many avenues were not open to us in terms of career options. And what I liked what you asked was, how did my environment shape it, right? My environment at that point was very safe. everybody had a very laid out path. Like your parents knew when you were born what you're going to kind of do, and they figured out your future. And you also kind of went along with it because you truly believe that your parents know what is best for you. I think it was really little later that I realized I knew what is best for myself. So it wasn't so much ki I knew at that time ki what I want to do, but I knew what I didn't want in my life. So I was blessed to be born in a very privileged family, and lived in the heart of South Delhi and got exposure to a lot of my parents' friends and family. And then I saw what lifestyle it was, what the pros and the cons are. And that led me to decide what I wanted for my life and what I didn't want for my life. And what is something that I could make peace with or be okay with, and what it wasn't. And I think those are the years, unknowingly, I formed a formative self of my own personality. I became attuned with what is not okay, and that paved the path for what is okay and what I really want. And I think that's really important, because a lot of times people, when you're growing up, you don't pay attention to the fact that your surrounding impacts so many of your decisions that you take later in life. And when I look back today, I realize that it was my surrounding that formed me as a person, told me what I actually inherently like, dislike, and what I would want for myself and what I wouldn't want for myself. And that's really important, because that's kind of the path that you end up following without even realizing it subconsciously. So it's really powerful.
Like, I agree with you, social conditioning and internalization, because when we are living in a family, so they have some set of rules, and most of the times we're supposed to follow them.
Yeah.
But the best part about your journey is that you are teaching others, and you actually learned yourself to say no when everyone was saying
True.
yes.
I used to, I remember my mom used to always say, "Isko kya kha ke paida kiya tha," because I was different. I didn't know that I was different. I didn't realize that I was different. I thought everybody would think the way I do. And then it was later in life that I realized that no. A lot of times, you're with your friends and you're in school and you're all saying the same thing because it sounds cool. But when push comes to shove, you realize that you're the one standing alone and everyone went with the rest of the crowd or the herd or, the objective path that was laid out for them. And you're right, social conditioning and internalization. Social conditioning is go to a good school, go to a good college, find a good boy, settle down, be happy, be comfortable for the rest of your life. I had that option, honestly. Like, I didn't have to take this path. If I had just followed that, I'd be happily married, settled, probably with more money than I could ever know what to do with or spend, and have a very comfortable life. But there was this kida inside of me where I knew that that's not it. Like, that's not my end goal in life. Like, I truly believe that I was born to make a difference. I only asked one question, that, tomorrow if I leave this world, would I have made a mark? And no, the answer was no. If I was Mrs. XYZ, I would not be making a mark. And that was not okay with me. So no matter what I didn't know what I would do when I was a teenager, but I always knew that whatever I did, I would make a mark for myself. I would leave a name, and I would be doing something that's relevant, something that is groundbreaking or disruptive. So I think that really frustrated my parents a lot. It frustrated me because it was a very long journey, from a teenager. I followed the path, of course, and I'm very grateful that I did, because I got all my business degrees down, I got my foundations down, I got my fundamentals down, and then I decided to pursue what my passion was. But I had no clue what I was going to end up doing in life, till I got this amazing cake, which was a disaster, and it really turned my life around, but I didn't know. So I think up to the age of 30, I was just following the path. And then I think when I got the chance to make a choice, I took it. And I grabbed it by the horns. And then I think 3-4 years into my entrepreneurship journey as a chef, having a cloud kitchen and a bakery, I got that choice again. And I took it again. So, when the door opens up, don't always look at what's in your pot and say, Acha, I have enough, I don't need more. There's always so much more to accomplish, And don't have fear of the unknown. If I would have thought कि ये किसी ने नहीं किया तो मैं क्यों करूँ, या ये किसी ने नहीं किया तो शायद कोई वजह होगी किसी ने नहीं किया, मैं क्यों करूँ. It's not like that. It's like no one has done it. Hey, let's go do it. You know, I want to be the first to get there. And I think because I'm a sportsman, that competitive streak has never left. I always want to be the best at what I do. I am competitive. I want to be the number one. I have something to prove because I work really hard. And why not, get to the top while you're at it and having fun?
Absolutely. Turning mess into magic, of course.
Yes, always.
And we have seen Shark Tank's episode, and we do know about your swimming journey as well.
Yeah.
So, love it. Being the best at everything you do, you're certainly standing by it, and here we have you.
When I was, the swimming story is, like I said, there's so many things that I look back on in life and I realize what decisions I made at every fork. The swimming journey was it was like my lifeline. I think after my 10th board, when I realized that itne marks se to koi dhang ka college milna nahi hai, so future, no job, and like I said, options were limited at that point. Marriage was looking like the only feasible option, right? And for me, that was like Fansi ka Fanda. I was like, this is not going to be like where I'm going to end up. And that's when I realized that if I don't buck up, I am just giving my life away. Like, I'm just destroying my future. Everything that I wanted for myself is never going to happen. And I said, okay, let me figure out a way, because, again, internalizing. I had realized what my capacity to ratto and mug up and cope with CBSC was. So I knew that maybe I'll get a distinction, I'll get an 80%, but I'm never going to get into a 95% plus course just on academics alone. The other way to do it was to swim. And then I had to figure out, and swimming also happened ki I loved water. So again, I reached out to something that I loved. So I love water. I've always been a water baby. And, basketball and all these popular sports were already taken up. So swimming was like sidey sport and no one really bothered about it. But it was a sport that had seats. So I figured it was my best chance because there was no one doing it. Again, no one was doing it. And I was like, let me try. And I was quite overweight in school. And I remember the first day, and I think I'll never forget what it felt like to wear a swimming costume. I was so shy. And walk out of that dressing room, and I remember I had this towel around me and I held it like for dear life, and literally like the only thing that crossed my mind was jaldi se tauliya girao, jaldi se kudo, like don't give it a second, don't let anyone look at you, and from there to emerging as a national level swimmer within 6 months, I think that's when I really realized what I was made of, like the kind of metal that I had. And I think that was a turning point for me in life. I never looked back because that was the moment I realized I have what it takes. And that moment is amazing because people always tell you to kar legi and ho jayega, but when you really do it yourself, you feel you can do anything.
That ecstasy is different, and honestly speaking, I cannot stop myself from clapping and saying, wow, shit. It's like I'm watching a whole movie and seeing you progress from your childhood journey to adulthood and what you are today. And you tested the waters and you swam through them.
Yeah.
It's very important for an entrepreneur to be risk-taking and
Yeah.
evolve, adapt with time, of course. So congratulations to you.
I think people are very scared of failure. And it's also inherent in our culture. To fail is bad. I don't think to fail is bad. To fail is to learn. To fail is to fall and learn to get up again. If you don't fail, how are you going to know the value of success? And it's very important to fail. I think everybody must fail at something in life at some point. It teaches you so many lessons, For me, failure, the first failure it bruised my ego, and I was like, main karke dikhaungi, I'm going to do it. The second one was like, hey, maybe I got something wrong. Let me go back to the drawing board and figure it out. And it's constant. It's not that I have a magic wand and everything that I do is a success. No, it's not. It tells you a lot about yourself, and how you deal with failure is the golden trick. Like how you deal with failure, how you internalize it, what you do after you fail is what defines you in life, not the fact that you failed.
Certainly, ma'am. Bouncing back and resilience matters a lot. And
A
most
lot.
importantly, determination to go ahead.
And self-belief.
Absolutely, which you have
Yeah.
in abundance.
I think it's been a work in progress, and it's been something that's been in motion since I was 14 years old. So, I think it's just a part of me now. And very few people have it, self-belief. Uh, Actually, I was doing a podcast with Josh, and the founder said this to me. He said, I very rarely met anybody in life who is so confident of her own self, like, that she's going to do it. Like, so self assured. People are not, people are insecure. Of course, I have insecurities too, I'm not perfect. But I know that I can do it. I truly believe, I internalize every cell in my body is wired to the fact that you will do it. It's okay, it's going to be hard, it's going to be tough. We're going down like a dark road and we can't see the light yet, but keep going. Like, it'll work out. And yeah, I think that was the best compliment I ever got.
Most of the people tend to say these things and affirmations, but it's very difficult to actually absorb them.
Yeah.
And the best part about you again is you have absorbed it.
Yeah. Again, it's conditioning over time. You have to keep telling yourself that all you need is you. You're enough. And this is what people don't understand, when people want to start a business, they usually are like, "Pehle main ye saman khareed lu, ye kar lu, ye books kar lu." I just started from scratch. And my home kitchen, I didn't have anything. I couldn't afford anything. But I was like, I'll figure out a way to do it. And that's all it is. So I think people procrastinate a lot. And being a doer and thinking that you're a doer are two different things. Yeah.
So I am a certified procrastinator, and I have also been procrastinating some of my questions here.
You got great questions.
Yes, let's move on.
Yeah, sure.
So as mentioned before, we know that you've done an MSc in Business Management from the prestigious Oxford University.
Yeah.
As most people do, you could have also opted for a high-paying, safe corporate job.
Yeah.
So did this thought ever cross your mind?
No, I did. I did opt for a high-paying corporate job. I worked with Deloitte in London. I did some fantastic projects with them. I got a whole world of experience. Again, I was about just 22, 23 when I completed this course, and I still didn't know what I want to do in my life. And as being an Indian and having family that really need you to decide, some people are like कि बचपन से ही पता है किसको डॉक्टर बनना था, लॉयर बनना था. मेरा ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. I always steered towards professionals that my parents were like, no, please do something else, So what I really wanted to do was become a criminal lawyer. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. It's all again about empowerment, right? But when that didn't work out, I figured consulting would be the best bet because that will give me an avenue to understand every single industry that there is sitting through this job. So I got the opportunity to work, in government, in oil and gas, in FMCG, in retail. I got a huge exposure. I did the Olympic Games. And it kind of told me what project I really enjoyed. And ironically, it turned out to be FMCG and food. But again, that time, you didn't understand what FMCG and food meant. I didn't want to work for Nestle and take a car and go shop to shop selling product, right? So when I came back to India, I decided to work with brands because FTI had opened up. And I remember that, I love fashion. So, and I've been exposed to all the brands. So when they were coming to India, it was such a big thing because I knew these brands that were coming. I was their client for so many years, having lived abroad. So I was the perfect fit. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I think my last stint, I was 30. And I was making more money than I could spend. But I was not happy. I was not motivated. I didn't wake up and feel like going to work. I was working in Delhi at that point, and I remember I hated the yes sir culture. And I'm not a yes sir woman at all, by a long shot. So, internationally when you work, your opinion is valued on everything, and you're respected, and you are actually at an equal level with your boss. When I came back to India, the relationship was very different at that point. Please keep in mind, I'm talking about the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a yes sir culture. Whatever I go says, I know best, isko aise hi karna hai. So I used to always feel like, why am I doing this job if my opinion is not wanted? If you just need hands, then I'm not the right person. I should be hired for my brain. Because that would have made my job more exciting, more fruitful. And it didn't. So maybe it was all karma, maybe it was the journey I had to take to realize And then I was like, dude, people work till 60, and that's 30 more years. Can I do this for 30 more years? And I was like, no, I don't think I can. So I knew that the time had come to do something of my own. And ironically, I quit the job just before I got married, not knowing what the hell I was going to do after that. But I figured I'll figure it out. I had that confidence. And then I got married, and that cake came my way, and the rest is history.
It's all laid out, like possibly the universe gives signs and then...
Yeah, like I said, now when I look back at my whole journey, it's amazing at the sequence of events that happened that led me to this place. But the one thing that's common is that I walked through every door that opened. I didn't shut any. And I think maybe that's the trick.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And there is this saying that do a job that doesn't make you feel like you're working at all.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. If you can do what you're passionate about and make money while you're doing it, there's nothing better in the world.
And as you're a first generation entrepreneur, you have actually started a new possibly profession in your family, and you are going to be the legacy maker.
So I'm actually not a first generation entrepreneur in my family. I come from a family of very strong women. That's the first thing. From my grandmother to my aunts to my mom, we're all working women, 3 generations. We've always pursued excellence and doing our own thing. My mom and my aunt are both journalists, and my grandfather was a politician, so he used to run his own news agency, and my mom and my Masi used to work there. So I've always been going to mom's office, or I've been going to Parliament House when she's doing press coverage. So I've always seen firsthand what her job involved and the kind of juggling that you need to do as a mom. So I remember she used to pick me up from school, and my tiffin used to be in the car, and I would be sitting in the press box upstairs watching Lok Sabha and eating lunch. I mean, of course I didn't register any of it then. Or I was with my grandfather, and we would be going to Darjeeling to do like political rallies. That was life. And then from my dad's side, my grandfather built a cinema called Sheila, and that was named after my grandmother. So he was an entrepreneur as well. And then my dad also did multiple businesses, which I saw him do over time. And the one thing that I saw with him was grit, determination, and hard work. I saw him driving in a Fiat in 50 degrees heat to Sona. I've seen him spend nights out at places where they didn't even have like basic amenities. And this is a man who grew up with everything, diamond spoon if you may. But I saw his work ethic, and I think that's something that I embodied. So again, subconsciously, so many things were ingrained. My brother's an entrepreneur as well, and my sister's a lawyer. So I think this Kira is there with all of us. But I didn't know that it will become so big. And, of course, everybody wants their business to blow up. But like I said, I'm still on the path. I don't know where this path is going to lead me. Abhi to party shuru hui hai. I'm going to pave my way and see where this takes me.
The road not taken. So you have chosen one of those roads, and you'll keep on walking.
Yeah.
And I really hope there is a prize. Like, the journey is the prize itself.
True. Actually, more than any one moment, I love the journey. And that was similar in Shark Tank as well. That whole journey of 6 months of getting there, the application, each round of selection, actually going there, prepping for that moment, And that moment, I remember when I came out of the tank, they're like, kya hua, kaise hua? And my family was calling me, and I was like, I don't remember a lot of it. It was just a blur. Because there was so much going on at that time. But I tell people this, always embrace these journeys in life. I mean, I decided to go on national television and speak my truth. And I didn't want to be anyone else but me. I didn't care what looks good or what sounds good or what the optics are. I was 100% unfiltered me. Because at the end of the day, that video is going to be out there forever. And I never want to know even for 1 minute that I faked it. So I didn't. And I think in the beginning I was really trying to be at my best behavior. But towards the end of the episode, the real Gauri came out, and I mean, the passion with which I feel about my business, about why I do what I do, and the right to defend what I do, and my journey is mine alone. So if you judge it, it's not going to be very welcome or well received. And that's exactly what they got. And I think that's one of the reasons why the episode went viral. In fact, the night that the episode came, first I didn't know that I would be the first episode of of this season. Okay, so that was something amazing, because it was my, when you shoot for Shark Tank, they tell you that there's no guarantee that even after you got a deal and even after you've shot the episode, that you will air. So you don't know till a few days before that you're going to air or not. So there's so much uncertainty. You don't understand कि वो कैसे receive होगा, कितना stock बनाना है, how much will the spike be in sales, what will happen. And I just remember that they called me and they said, Ki, you're coming and you're the first episode. And I said, what? Like, I couldn't believe it. And they said, we really want to open the show with a bang, and we couldn't think of a bigger bang than you. So I couldn't understand like what they were saying, because I remember when I shot and I came out of the tank, they said it was the best episode that they had seen, the production team. And when it came, and when the last bit came, when I spoke about Piyush and the FOMO part, oh my God, like, I didn't know that was going to be aired, because it was outside the tank. And that was completely unfiltered how I felt, because it was raw emotion. I just come out after 1.5 hours of boom, boom, boom in the tank. And I was angry about a few things, because I felt I was not heard. I felt like even though I was explaining everything, they were not getting it.
Yeah, right.
And I felt that connection was not coming, So I just said what I said, and I meant every word of it, But I was scared कि पता नहीं लोग इसको कैसे लेंगे, India being such a righteous culture, and people always wanting to, give due respect. But respect works both ways. So, I did have some trolling. I did have people come and say, ki, you have no respect, they are sharks, they're sharks. And I was like, maybe tomorrow I'll be a shark. But the point is, we're entrepreneurs and businesses in that cell, on the set. So there has to be mutual respect for business, small or big. And that is inherent in entrepreneurship. So if the idea is just for TRP to come and, slam another business just for the heck of it, it's not going to work. And if you're going to say something that doesn't make sense, I'm going to call you out on it, because it doesn't make sense. The idea is not that just because you're a shark, you're going to have the last word. Why should you have the last word? If you don't understand something, just say, it's actually better to say, I don't have the answer for this. This is not an industry that I'm familiar with. Respectfully, I'm out, but I admire what you do. Leave it at that. Don't give me gyan about what you think I should do with my business, knowing nothing about this category, and then expect me to be like, it's okay. So that passion came out leaps and bounds. I mean, if I had to do it again, yes, maybe I wouldn't be so angry. I would try and control my facial expressions. I mean, you could make a meme out of me. But you don't get another Shark Tank in your life. You only get one. And there's no one in this world who can tell you how to prepare for it. And it's very easy to say, ki ye se karna chahiye tha, waise karna chahiye tha. But when you're in that tank, you don't know what it feels like till you're there. So if you can't fathom that, it's very easy to sit on the sidelines and say, you should have done it this way. But having said that, the love, the tremendous amount of love, the tremendous amount of respect, people reached out to me from all angles, everywhere. All over the world, people have reached out to me saying, kudos, we loved your episode. What an amazing episode. You stood your ground, you know your business, and we're very proud to, be associated. Clients from all over the world came. I had met people who have watched my journey and said, you haven't changed a bit, you're exactly the same person. And I was like, why would I change just because there are 200 cameras staring at me, just because I'm going to go on national television? And what's interesting was so many people asked me कि अच्छा जो आपने Shark Tank में बोला तो सब सच था. I'm like वहाँ जाके झूठ क्यों बोलेगा कोई? Like it was such an odd thing to say. So this is what that really happened. I said, yeah, it really happened, and that really is. My wedding cake was a disaster, And I should actually take this moment to thank that baker for being my, miracle, or paving a way out, or just being the tip of the iceberg for everything that it led to. So, Shark Tank के बाद ना first time में Chef Gauri and Confect separate हुआ in 10 years of my journey, because earlier people were always like ये Confect की owner है, Confect की founder है, you know, chef है. But this time it was like Chef Gauri, like she stood her ground, like who I am came out, not just as a founder but as an entrepreneur. So that was amazing, and for me that was amazing because for the first time I was recognized for who I am and who I am as a person. And वो बहुत rare होता है कि people can see a quality of yours and like you for it. It's amazing. So thank you everyone. Like the love has been immense. I think I'm in the third month. It's April, and so Jan, Feb, March, April is the fourth month, and I'm still doing so many podcasts. I'm still doing so many interviews. People just want to meet and talk, and I feel I've connected with somebody on some level, and I think that's amazing. So yeah.
It's amazing. Like, I would say 5 sharks against one authentic Gauri, and Gauri wins.
Thank you.
Love the determination again. And should we move on to some fun questions?
Yeah, sure.
Would you be willing?
Always. I'm always ready.
So, yes. As everyone knows, a startup requires a lot of funding.
Yeah.
So, if you were given a sum of possibly 1 crore, right now, how would you use it? Like, how would it make you feel at that moment?
So, I'm just thinking, because at one point in my life, 1 crore would feel like a lot of money. Today it doesn't. And that's the real truth of it. And it's incredible that these words are coming out of my mouth. And my brain is blowing up as I'm speaking because it's crazy. You know, at some point, even 1 lakh or 10 lakhs would have been a huge amount of money. I remember when I started this business, if someone gave me 10 lakhs, I would have been like, wow, you're amazing. And today, 1 crore, and I'm really thinking, is it enough? So this is what I would do. I have huge expansion plans. This year, India is home, and we're really, really coming in here strong. I need money in inventory because my biggest problem is that the product is loved so much that we are struggling with inventory. And that's where the entire money would go. I would put it into stock.
That's amazing, ma'am. Also, there are some budding entrepreneurs and people who look at you as an inspiration. So, do you possibly have some opportunities for them so that they can also reach out to you and learn
Absolutely. More? So, I love hiring new talent. I love being in touch with the new generation. I think there is so much to learn from you guys. I don't pretend to want to be a Miss Know-it-all. I think there's some things that you guys navigate much better than I do because we might obsess over perfection or the right song or like, you know, even if it's media or social or anything, we might obsess over it too much. And I think you guys are a little more go with the flow and pretty chill. So we do have a lot of roles that are open in the founder's office where you would have people coming in working with me directly to understand what it takes to run a business and what it is to run a business with the founder, working with them all the time.
That's absolutely amazing, like sharing the knowledge you already have.
Yeah. So anybody who wants to apply, please go ahead and reach out to me on Instagram at Chef Gauri or just drop me an email, whichever way you like, and be happy to have you.
Thank you so much. And ma'am, as you shared your journey of Shark Tank, it was very eventful and interesting, we all know that. During the situations you faced, what was the most unexpected skill or quality you discovered that a person might need as an entrepreneur?
Blind faith in myself. Blind faith. I didn't know, I knew what I was building, but I didn't know when I'm going to see the light of day. I started this business with 5 lakh rupees. Today we're valued at 50 crores in just a span of 6 years. It's crazy. The ride has been crazy. I realized I work very hard. I truly work very hard and I give everything to my work. I smile at the end of a 16-hour day because I love it. And there are days when I feel like I wish I was not so tired because I need to finish more work and I want to get it done. And it's all about excellence. You have to do your best every single day. I've also realized that work is my first love. There is a balance, but actually there's no balance. It's a juggling act. And I just believe I can do it. And that's it. You know, my staff sometimes when we have problems and we get big orders and they'll be like, ma'am, kaise hoga? I'm like, ho jayega. Don't worry. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but we pull through. We pull through. We make a plan and we figure it out. So that's what it's been. It's been a roller coaster, and it continues to be a roller coaster. All I'm doing is just embracing it. Just go with the flow.
You're such a believer, and there is this tendency, like, if we start believing in ourselves, then only we can expect others to believe in us.
Absolutely. If you don't put your mouth where your money is or your money where your mouth is, why would the other person believe in you? Why would they take a bet on you?
Certainly.
Yeah.
And the last funniest question, or I don't know how to put it at this point, if you had to choose between swimming and marriage as a kid, what would you choose now?
Oh my God, swimming, hands down. Hands down. So one thing I want to end this podcast with is that I have a very simple rule in life. And I make my biggest decisions. I don't have no spreadsheet. I don't do pros and cons. The only question I ask myself is, will I regret it? That's it. And that question answers everything for me. If I wake up 5 years later and say, shit, I wish I had done that, that would have been a bad decision. Every decision I've taken in my life, whether it was marriage, whether it was this business, whether it was shutting down the bakery to start Confect, whether it was to go to Shark Tank, whether it was whatever I wanted to say on Shark Tank, every small decision was, will I regret if I don't do this? And if the answer is yes, hell yeah, I'm doing it. No two ways about it. So I think that feeling of regret is something that I would never be able to cope up with, personally, as of how I am. So for me, no regrets. Always.
We can associate so many taglines with you. Life without regrets, Chef Gauri. Turning mess into magic, Chef Gauri. And it was lovely listening to you. And
Thank
I
you.
really hope we could listen to more. But yes, after the podcast. So
Okay.
thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with
So
us
happy
today.
to be here.
Same
I had a
here.
fantastic time. I can keep talking endlessly. I love talking.
And we would love to listen to you
Oh.
as well.
Thank you.
And with that, we wrap up today's episode. And stay tuned for interesting conversations and lots of entrepreneurial vigor. And until next time. And thank you for the icing on the cake.
Thank you. Wonderful.